taking on terrifying hints as the interpreter stayed at work longer than required to hand off her wrath to CK, inappropriate overseer C. With all due regard, you are off the mark. You are familiar with the conflict, I expect. However, do you have any idea how they treated our settlements they dropped? Nanobombs on our lawfully bought states. They weren't attempting to reclaim land, they were attempting to decimate us. I was there, I saw it with my own eyes. Krare was shocked. This was not part of the standard story about the conflict. I didn't have a clue about that. The felon tell their own variant of the conflict to gather backing and compassion against the attacker. Human, I'm certain Skipper Kellerman sounded unpleasant in the deciphered voice. See your kinline, the criminal inverse US. Do you not? Yes, our region borders theirs, however, and have you by any opportunity known about some boundary universes going under some sort of obscure difficulty, perhaps a bizarre disease or uncommonly solid climate on the universe's? Kare's decoration undulated worriedly, and he said nothing he had caught wind of. Things like that. Skipper Kellerman cleared her protective cap out of nowhere. Kare saw her obviously little, with respective evenness, close-set binocular eyes, and a little mouth. This was whenever CS first saw a human, as they are not as their symbols show them. They are hunters, they are trackers, they are unnerving. C unwittingly made a token of dread and slid back one more half. Unit Commander K-Man's face distorted into a growl. Know this, C, it's inevitable before they do to you what they endeavored and neglected to do to. We really mull over who your companions are, and who in the Alliance you can come to for help when they begin dropping nanobombs on your universes. Similarly, as unexpectedly as it had cleared, her protective cap obscured once more, and the animation symbol of her face returned. It seemed like a joke to CR. Now the people get it, the remainder of their garbage, and liberated their weapons quicker than CK could. Ripley, they were all conveying slug throwers. We're leaving Director Brooke. If any felon even comes surprisingly close to us, individuals behind her cycled around into their rifles for accentuation. We will accept it as an incitement and will answer with unbalanced power. Yes, Skipper. I will transfer this data. O and Manager C, your station will be added to the rundown of orbitals where people won't go. We will do no exchanging, sell no products, and proposition no safeguard. All of you will really do well to consider your stand vis-a-vis the fell men. Without one more word, the gathering of people turned and walked towards their boat, shaking Kare flag that they were not to be intruded on, and made sure their admonition about Fellman was transfer after they left, and the wreck was tidied up. Craig sat in his quarters and gazed through the window at the planet. Under quite a while, one of his crush mates was living on a recently established province lining Fellman space. He started creating a message to radiate to her, inquiring as to whether she had any plans about moving back. It was generally an occasion when the people visited that they'd show up in their smooth, thick ships, totally in conflict with different boats of the Alliance. Human ships generally seemed as though they were developed as opposed to constructed. Individuals would murmur how the people made their boats as extreme as they were the means by which human boats could go climatic and land on the ground. It was rubbish, obviously. No boat, human or in any case, could do that. Kare calculated that the people spread the actual talk after they'd show up. They would emerge of the docking umbilical in their little clean suits. They were an uncommon class of knowledgeable. To be sure, the oxygen breathers, most edified individuals in the Alliance, came from universes with manganese sulfur environments. The people with their oxidizer for a breathing gas are viewed as reckless, foolish people who settle on choices without legitimate thought. Given the responsive idea of their air, it's basically a given that they also are more receptive in their decisions. C stands ready toward the finish of the umbilical, prepared to welcome the people for their ideally short visit. They come from a high-gravity world with a solitary gigantic moon completely a fourth of the size of their own planet itself, so their ecological defaults are fairly outrageous, contrasted with the remainder of the Alliance. The people mind their own business as they moved toward. They halted one half unit away from C and stopped. He peered down at them. They were about a portion of his level, and he caused the general token of welcome the people to respond, and CK starts welcome to Alliance orbital. 43,559 referred to the Limalar as Habelmen. I'm Director C, and I invite you as equivalents for you. Visit the human at the top of the gathering is wearing a marginally unique suit, actually cleaned and intelligent, yet where the other people are wearing suits of completely dark, hazier than interstellar space. This one's is a profound verm particle red. CK is attracted to the variety. It's so rich it nearly looks wet. When she starts to talk, a symbol of a human face is projected onto the smooth, clean surface of the cap. Appears to be that the people have taken a consideration to make themselves look less unknown and startling in their natural suits. Thank you for the hello, Executive Seki. I'm Commander Margaret Kellerman, and this is my team. She signals behind her, and we anticipate remaining just for 3 cycles for Demi to take on a heap of rebon and exchange with any closely involved individuals. I have a manifest of what we have accessible to exchange. She motions on her arm and the record shows up on Karae's cushion. Karae is taken aback at her voice. It's so unmistakable. Talking through an interpreter, however, it is getting the subtlety and suggestions of the Lalar exchange language impeccably. She could have a consideration vocation as a performer or narrator effectively in the event that she was an alternate animal variety. Thank you, Skipper. I have accepted your record and will disperse it if it's not too much trouble. Utilize our offices during your visit. Commander Kellerman's head protector streaked a symbol of a face grinning without their teeth comprehensively. Thank you, Overseer Kara. We will for 2 cycles. Kara held out trust that the human's visit would be without occurrence. They came in discreetly, did some minor exchanging, and burned through a sensible measure of cash on diversion and rewards reasonable for their frameworks, while on board Craig felt they were making a solid attempt to be model guests. Evidently, they realized people had a standing in the Alliance for being boisterous on the last demic cycle before the people were booked to leave. A gathering of F-men came over irate. They had spent the whole 2 cycles past noisily grumbling that the people ought not be here and that they had caught criminal states sometime in the past and had started the most common way of harming them to be more reasonable to them the human specialists keep up with, and have the receipts to demonstrate that they bought the planets legitimately from the felon and never endeavored to conceal their objectives of. Colonization notwithstanding, a long, horrendous conflict had followed, and the people had pushed the felon to yield and were right now taking part in a virus battle with one another. C was alarmed when the yell began. The felon appeared to come to the people needing to create problems for their part. The people made an honest effort to talk the criminal down. Their cap symbols were looking miserable and calm, and they motioned in ways of attempting and decreasing strain. The felon were having none of it, however, as C undulated over to attempt to quiet them. One of the fans in the back had rolled out a fight rifle. Krare had no clue about how they had snuck it in, yet it was totally restricted on the orbital and was caused for guaranteed removal before he could sound the caution and get the orbital specialists to come. They shot at the gathering of people. It ended up being lethal blunder in judgment, quicker than Craig could follow, and just affirmed by review the security film sometime later. 3 of the people carried huge slug throwers to bear. The Alliance knowledgeable races view substance-fueled metal slug throwers as excessively weighty to be hand weapons when they are utilized. Their stand or vehicle mounted, the people can get them and swing them around like they weigh nothing. The commotion of the slug throwers in the lobby was stunning. C thought about how the people could take the commotion without being harmed, yet he accepted they should have some sort of commotion dropping incorporated into their natural suits. They terminated for only 1 millile, however. It was a sizable amount. Of all of the fellow men were dead, with the ones in the front unrecognizable. The quietness in the corridor after they completed the process of terminating was stunning. It seemed like an unfathomable length of time after they had halted before the station caution sounded. Cramp strolled over to the people. They were really taking a look at either different suits and tidying up the little gold-shaded bits of metal that come flying out of their hurlers when they shoot metal, is what they call it. Krare signaled a conciliatory sentiment. Unfortunately, you must leave presently. Chief Kellerman's symbol showed unadulterated faithfulness. Her glove-covered hand pointed at him critically. You will agree with their position, manager. You were here, you saw them. They shot first. Krare slid back 1/2 unit, unwittingly. Nevertheless, you answered with disproportional power to their assault. It was inappropriate. Skipper Kellerman faltered, her melodic voice